Electrolytes.
Electrolytes. Calcium chloride, magnesium chloride, potassium bicarbonate.
Recording in progress.
Calcium chloride, that's what they put down on the roads.
Exactly, and, no, it's essentially salt,
Right, it's electrolytes.
yeah.
I mean,
Salt.
salt is electrolytes. I
Yeah.
always tell the people at the butcher's counter, I just want dumb chicken. That's-
Smart chicken, air-cooled smart chicken.
Yeah, then they say,
They were so
"Look."
smart, that why they're dead.
You want organic beef? No, inorganic beef, you know, it's like, jeez.
Well, welcome everybody. We might as well get started. So I'll call the meeting to order, and first item on our agenda is approval of the minutes. Does anybody have any comments or?
I'll move them.
There was a word I thought missing in the last paragraph.
Yeah, I actually had some comments on on item 3. I would suggest that this third sentence, it says, starts with Mr. Mengy, pointed out rather than stated, that his statements, blah, 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 blah. And then his, after personal, opinions. So it would say, Mr. Mengy pointed out that his statements reflected both the board's issues and then his personal opinions, and made a statement to this effect when he transitioned between the two. And then the next sentence would be.
Hold on just a second.
Let's see if people have discussion on this.
Okay.
I'll give you this afterwards.
Okay,
And then the
perfect.
board acknowledged, rather than decided, that members should clearly identify when they're speaking for themselves versus for the board. So I'm just curious if that's all.
I'll still move it.
Okay.
So-
Let me just give that to David.
So,
Um,
is that a second? Am I giving you a second?
Yeah,
Okay, I am.
okay. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. So we have election of officers. I was threatening not to come today, but then I figured I'd get all the.
You would have voted right in.
You would get to be chair and vice chair.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you wanna be vice chair?
Well,
Is it just a simple question?
I still feel that I'm probably a relative newbie at this, so I'm a little reluctant. How about you?
Well, I would do it in that I feel like I have, I don't have your trepidation about a newbie, I don't have that excuse, so I can't say that. But,
Nominated.
Well, that's
so
key.
Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, if you don't feel like you are ready yet, because I think you'd be an excellent vice chair person, but if you don't, that's fine, and, we'll talk, maybe next year.
Okay,
Yeah, okay. Okay, so I'm happy to back you up if you want to be
And,
chair, I mean, it's.
and yeah, I'm happy. I've been waiting forever to be chair for the second time.
And do we need
so-
to technically have a clerk?
No, it's, well, the rules and procedures say that you have to have a chair, vice chair, and any other officers you choose to appoint, and there's never been a,
Should we create another office, just to be bureaucratic?
I mean, I take the minutes other than when I'm not here. I
Right.
try to make that very rarely.
Well, I appreciate that.
I-
Yeah, you need to go on vacation, so we need to cover for you when you do go.
But I mean, anyone can take the minutes, there's no,
I don't think we need more officers.
I agree.
You'd have to pay them.
Yeah. This budget is getting way out of hand.
Exactly.
So I guess we're looking for a motion to nominate me as chair and Vicky as vice chair. So moved by Nat, seconded by David. All those in favor, say aye.
Okay.
Okay. So, I'll turn the meeting over to Vicky now.
You leaving? I know you got some boiling you probably need to do, but.
No, I finished up last night.
Oh, congratulations.
but,
Still running?
It's still running, yeah, I could have boiled today,
Oh, wow.
but I'm just as happy to
Yeah,
have stopped.
be done.
Yeah.
How much did you put up?
Almost hit 1,000, so,
Wow.
yeah, it was a good season. Vicky and I have chatted a little bit, and, because I was hoping that she would maybe be vice chair. And we have some thoughts here about planning board objectives and kind of rules of order during the meetings. The rules of order would be sort of similar to, you know, kind of the ground rules that we have at town meeting, where it was taken or kind of put together in that vein. And so I'd like to pass this out, and see whether we can agree on this tonight or agree to talk about it in the future meeting, whatever you folks want to do. But,
One more? You got two here, there's two here, so. Thank you.
Chair of uniform?
No.
Okay.
oh, here, I've got one.
Oh, all right.
Oh, great.
So, planning board objectives that, you know, we're dedicated to working together to enhance the Lyme community, to treat applicants and members of the public fairly and with respect, to review applications to assure that they're compliant with the laws of, in Lyme and the state of New Hampshire, that we would have productive meetings and move our tasks forward toward an agreed upon endpoint, and just kind of running down through this, the chair or designee would be responsible for running the meetings. The meetings, members would speak after being recognized by the chair. Members wouldn't interrupt others while they're speaking. There's no such thing as a bad idea or crazy idea. Maybe it's a bad idea, but it's, you know, respect other people's opinions. We try not to repeat material that's been laid out by a previous speaker. One of the things in terms of the agendas, I think it might be helpful for us to try to put some time limits on how much time we want to spend on things, and I think maybe agree as a group as to how long we want to meet on these wonderful Thursdays. And just that we ought to keep in mind that the agenda items would have a product, a goal, or an outcome. And at the end of the meeting, we would summarize the meeting and assign tasks if necessary for completion for the next meeting, or whatever we decide as a schedule. And we'd ask David to keep track of the time set on our agenda and keep notes. And I'm just wondering what folks think about this, whether this is something we want to talk about today, whether we want to adopt it. What are your thoughts?
Move to adopt it.
Is there?
I don't have anything to add, and I'm sure there are other things that people would suggest.
Maybe just think, you know, it evolves.
Yeah, we could add to it, and I don't know that it necessarily needs to be adopted. I think that, because it's not like a regulation or a bylaw, but that, you know, we can all agree by, you know, saying, you know, that we're going to try to honor the objectives and to, you know, follow these rules while we're in the meeting.
Gives us something to point to.
Yeah,
Yeah, if nothing else, it's a procedure which
Yeah.
is within the authority of any committee to
establish for itself.
Yeah, and I don't have the planning board bylaws in front of me, so I don't know, like, you know, I don't wanna say, oh, we adopt these, cause they're not the bylaws. I don't really know what authority we have to adopt anything else beyond the bylaws, and then our planning board regulations and the master plan, that kind of thing, so.
You have rules and procedures.
Okay, all right, I didn't look that up, and
Tell you what, I will.
so, you know, but we don't need to adopt it, I think, you know, if we can all agree that we can just, we don't need to belabor, unless people have some more suggestions of what to add.
I'm not voting today, but I certainly would chime in and say, Jeff, we should adopt these. I don't think any of these would violate any of the rules of procedure that we've actually established and voted on. I think they're a good idea. Let's try it out.
It's good to
And see what
see
Mhm.
whether we can move forward with them. Well,
I would say we can adopt them as a procedure, and that at least gives us some formality to say that, you know, if it ever came to question, that we, at one point in time, all agreed that it was something we're gonna try to, well, we would adhere to, that the board, that the chair and the vice chair have the authority to govern or direct us towards these things, and if there's things that need to be added or adopted, you know, we can do that. We can always do that. We always, the committee can establish its procedures and revise its procedures at will, so.
Well, there are, I mean, I'm just looking here, and I don't like AI, so, rules of procedure.
I just
and-
sent the board's rules and procedures to
Okay.
everybody's email.
Okay, so I just don't want, I guess what I'd like to do is make sure that, we're not, I don't think any of this would conflict, but what the AI thing was saying is that, you know, you follow 676-1, and there are actually more specific, things that are statutorily governing us. So like, board shall consist of 5 members elected at town meeting and that kind of thing. And then there's a RSA citation, terms, vacancies, duties and responsibilities, that's of board members and,
Those are
it's
external
officers.
statutes, I mean, what
Yeah.
we establish
Yeah.
as procedures internally.
Yep. They have voting procedures in here, conduct at meetings. So it's the only thing that, the chairperson with concurrence of the board shall establish the procedure and order of business at each meeting and each hearing. So that's, you know,
Mhm.
establishing the agenda, which isn't conflicting here. Part will be voted into public comment, no new cases will be addressed by the board after 10 PM. All meetings will be held with the utmost consideration of all people involved. The discussion becomes argumentative or threats or implications are made of taking a case to court, the meeting may be immediately adjourned by the chairperson and continued to another time. And all present alternates are encouraged to participate in the discussion. So those are, I don't think any of those conflict with what is here.
Could I add perhaps that, the second point about members will speak after being recognized by the chair?
Mhm.
We keep that there
Mhm.
in case you need it.
Yep.
But by and large, if people are following the rest of the rules, we are having sort of a natural conversation and it doesn't have to be formalized that way.
I mean, I agree, I mean, the discussion that we just had, I mean, would be cumbersome
Exactly.
if I were to say, okay,
That-
Vicky.
That's
okay.
exactly what I was trying to say.
Yeah,
It's only when there's a debate
Right,
that
yeah.
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 with the competing interests or opinions that you would
Yeah,
direct it to the chair.
exactly.
I'm never fond of the word crazy.
Oh.
And I mean, I think bad is a perfectly appropriate synonym there.
Mhm.
You know, I would say off the wall, but that sounds a little frivolous.
Mhm.
So I'd be happier with bad ideas there,
That's fine.
but I think it's good.
So do we wanna have a formal vote, or we just agreeing to.
Sense of the meeting.
sense of the
Say
meeting.
sense of the meeting.
Okay.
and,
Super.
So the only thing we've added is we've asked David to keep a little bit track of time, and added a step before we actually deal with the agenda of assigning time.
Mhm. So in terms of our meetings, we've never really, since I've been on the board, there's never really been a sense of how long we meet. And, you know, I don't know what we should be doing. I guess I would throw out an hour and a half, but,
Right. Well, in our rules of procedure, we say we're not taking anything after 10, and I think that's because we don't do well after 10 o'clock, we're ready for bed.
right.
And
Nothing good happens after midnight, no
Yeah,
good thoughts happen
yeah.
after 10.
Right, well, and I would say that after we've kind of beaten horses for an hour and a half, we're ready to hang it up. So, the thing that's in there is, I guess, really to show the public that we're done, and, you know, we're gonna have to continue your, if we don't get to somebody for some reason, we're gonna have to continue the hearing or whatever to another date. So, I think an hour and a half is really good, and that we should strive to make that hour and a half really productive, and try to get through our agenda in that amount of time, without compromising hearing the public and without shutting people off.
And I can also, you know, if you're getting multiple hearings, multiple applications, I can try to let people know that, listen, you know, the agenda is already full, we're gonna have to push it off to the next meeting, as long as we meet within this, there's a statutory requirement.
Yeah, it's 30 days, so, yeah.
But, I mean, a lot of times I get people say, oh, they're meeting on Thursday, and you know, it's Tuesday, and like, we wanna get on their agenda, and it's like,
Yeah,
no.
yeah,
But we can also agree to have an extra meeting if we
we
need.
can,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that's fine, because sometimes we don't have anything to do.
And I suppose, yeah, if it's an application that has come in and, you know, and it's 8:30 and we're still going through the application, I think it's fair to the applicant that we should stay
Yeah.
longer, but for meetings where we're just discussing things and, you know, basically a workshop, I think we should shoot for an hour and a half. So let's move on to the next item, the Regional Planning Commission Transportation Priorities.
Do we want to put a time on that?
You know, the more important thing that I say, yes, put a time on it, but what's our goal, what's our outcome here? I think
Well,
in
that's-
this particular case, I know, but,
Mhm.
you know, I think, Rich, it may fall to you to say,
Yeah,
this is, we're gonna talk about the regional planning commissions, and then are we deciding something, are we
that's a good
giving them
question.
feedback? Because I think that helps us
Yeah.
focus our thoughts prior to the meeting,
Yeah.
and then it, I mean, and we can change our mind, we can say, no, that's not at all what we wanna talk about. But,
Yeah.
Or we're not ready, sounds to me like
Or-
we're not ready for a decision.
which means we can move very quickly on to the next item.
So, David sent this to me. I thought it was worthwhile for us to discuss. I think one of the things that came up, actually, well, it comes up several times, but particularly the construction of the Thetford Bridge, or Lyme, East Thetford and Lyme Bridge, was that public input didn't seem to be lacking, at least coming from the town of Lyme to the state, and.
Well, it was 10 years ago is what I think the problem was.
Yeah, it was 10 years ago, exactly, and, you know, they had a hearing, and then, the state didn't wanna do anything, and, you know, the town, my perception is that the town, didn't push very hard, to try to get, something going. So in any event, while the state has less money now than they've ever had, it's still a good thing to have projects in the hopper that the town prioritizes. David, maybe you can explain to us where the town's recommendation comes from. I mean, as a planning board, it feels to me like this is something that we could certainly endorse and suggest to the select board that they they put a positive word in.
What I would do is, if you look at the third paragraph down, and I don't, do you wanna set a time limit on this, or?
Sure, let's set 10 minutes work,
Let's see what happens.
yeah.
And then, as far as a goal for it, they asked for they have 4 categories to put all 4 of these items into. So I would just say, you know, the goal of this is to have the board go through and categorize the 4 options as they've described.
Mhm. The priority.
Yeah, your priorities, so.
Like first, second, third, fourth type of thing?
Well, if you,
Priority,
they have confirm the priority, remove it, keep it, or needs updating. And then, so, that is what the feedback that they are requesting. And, you know, I can provide that feedback from the planning board to the person that sent this out.
Okay, and what about the select board, does the select board weigh in?
That was a question for you that I was gonna ask, that, you know, I can forward the email to the select board if you want.
I don't know.
Okay, so
So you guys haven't discussed it?
they just reached out to the planning board.
Well, yeah, they sent it to me, they actually sent it to me, and I asked them if I could bring it to the planning board, and they're like, absolutely. And then I also sent it to Tony Sweat, because, you know, he's kind of involved with traffic.
Yep.
And we have a town rep to the Upper Valley Regional Planning Commission?
Yes, Bill
Bill
Malcolm.
Malcolm.
Bill Malcolm.
So he doesn't sit on the Transportation Advisory Committee though, does he? He just is
No,
our representative.
he's just a
so-
representative.
Okay, so, yeah, well,
I mean, I don't know where, go ahead, Vicki.
I was gonna say, I mean, I think they're all As, so, and we don't have to put these in order, we just are ranking
No.
each one of them. So
Right, just
yeah, I think they're all important.
Does anybody have any, you know, contradictory feelings about them, about being all A, or are we all saying, yeah, okay, can do all A?
I think they're asking for 1 or 2.
The only thing I would note is that
Well,
I think what they're asking us for
the East
to
Thetford,
dig a little deeper than
East
that.
Thetford Bridge isn't gonna happen in our
Right.
lifetime, so, I mean, we could say.
Or that could be reevaluated if somebody
Give it a
comes up
C.
with some kind of contraption for
give it a C.
adding a pedestrian.
Yeah, it's really dangerous. I use that a lot, both for walking and bicycling, and it's incredibly dangerous. People go fast and they
Is it
don't.
narrow?
Yeah, it's like, it's really bad.
And you cannot see, if you were to try to go, you know, go around a cyclist or a pedestrian on the bridge, going into Thetford, you can't see down and around
Mhm.
the corner.
Yep.
Cause I drive that twice a day.
Yep. Well, anyway, I would say this C is, you know, I can just hear, well, Liz Ryan Cole jumping up and down if we were to give that a C, and she'd call us crazy, because it is one of, I think it's a huge safety issue. That bridge is in New Hampshire, and we're the people that need to look out for it. Thetford isn't gonna, you know, like, their AOT in Vermont isn't gonna, do
They'll put in their 5% or whatever they
Whatever,
own of
yeah,
the river and.
so-
I was
Yeah.
only suggesting C because you said it's never gonna happen.
Well, in that, you know, in terms of cycles, it's not gonna happen, I still think it's really
To Nate's
important.
point, if we were all to choose the top 2, what would those top 2 be?
1 and 4.
So you guys know, with respect to 1, there is a lighted crosswalk going in from the school to the library.
No.
We didn't know that.
The
That's-
select board did that last year. We have, the contract's been entered into, we're just waiting for the ground to thaw out, but that's supposedly happening within
From
A
the
short
school to
period.
the library?
Yeah.
in the school.
Yeah.
You know that,
Yeah.
you know, it's the flashy light thing.
Yeah, well, that's gonna be nice, but, I mean, for people like me who try to walk to the post office every day, it's hazardous, especially in the winter. And for kids getting from the school to Stella's, that's crazy. And, you know, both intersections are bad, at either end of the common, so I appreciate that that's happening, but it really only benefits, you know, one of the.
People crossing from the
Yeah,
library.
right,
So
right.
Yeah.
I did work with Sean at one point to come up with a plan.
Yep, yep,
I think we've probably
yeah.
And do we know what they mean by traffic calming? I mean,
Well, that's what, I was just about to ask the same question, because it could very well be that installing a rotary at the North Thetford on the Common and Route 10, I mean, that's.
It wouldn't take
looking
much
at-
more space, would it?
Looking up in Hanover at the race school, those two rotaries are traffic calming.
Right.
And then if you also look at the race school, they have taken away all the parking on the roadside and moved the shoulders in.
Mhm.
And so they've
Yes.
narrowed the roadway, which also, so those are two
That's-
things.
Those are some of the questions that I had. I mean, what are they thinking about? I know that,
Well, that'd be a design thing. I
Yeah,
think
so
it's
is our
a-
task,
it
is
would
our
be a
task
design.
right now to determine what those traffic calming things
No.
are?
No.
So then what I would say is that we restrict the conversation to determining priorities of the four.
Mhm.
To Nate's suggestion, what are the top two? And then allow that process to take place, and these are the topics that would come up, but we're not gonna determine them here now tonight. So, why don't we just go around and just have people
Yeah,
nominate their top two, we'll keep track of that, and the two that get the highest number of votes will be the recommendation of the board.
So Evie already said
1 and 4.
that.
I would go one and two.
I would go 1 and 4.
One, I'm really biased, I don't know, do I need to recuse myself?
No.
Because
No, no.
that's just like a
You're allowed
crazy
to have an
thing.
opinion.
Yep, one, and I would also go for, because it's not just that, but all the way, it's to Post Pond is my
Yeah.
main emphasis. I don't care if it goes to Orford and Piermont, but to Post Pond at a minimum. But anyway, yeah, so 1 and 4.
so I'd say one, and I am in deep sympathy to the goal of number 4. I think I need to recuse myself there because that would make an enormous difference to both my house and to a business that I own. I think that's gonna be an extraordinarily difficult project to do because there's a whole flock of people's property that would have to be either purchased or taken, and
Well,
So,
So-
1 and 4.
good, thank you. Did you want to say something, Vicki? I was done.
well, I think the Appalachian Trail is even a bigger project, and look what the results have been. So, yeah,
It could happen, but yeah.
yeah.
Think big.
Yeah.
All
What do
right.
you, what do you think,
But-
David?
I'm done.
So,
Thank you.
well, what was the two that you?
Oh,
No, I'm one and recused.
Okay, one and nothing.
One and nothing, yes.
Probably 2 and 4 for me.
and Jeff?
Jeff?
I
He
did.
said-
Oh, you did, okay. So, having sat on, I think the last count was 7 different committees to do number 4, and I would say 2.
So I,
1 and 4 seem to be the,
Yep.
was it 1 and 4?
So
It
does that
should-
mean we're just gonna reorganize them?
Should we then figure out what we're gonna say about 2 and 3 in terms of their scale here? Remove, update,
C,
keep.
they're both C.
Yeah, keep, but they're not important, they're not top priority.
Right.
Yeah.
I
So,
think
so
it's
the
fine.
pedestrian and bicycle access for the Lyme Thetford Bridge, there's not enough room on that bridge.
Right.
That is.
Right, so it seems to me, it's gotta be like reconsidered how
That's
that would be done.
It's like traffic calming, you know, we put people on the other side of the moon,
I had
so we
some
can
dis-
definitely put a,
I had some discussions with the folks,
you know.
when they were redoing the bridge
I
to try
remember
to,
this, yeah.
see if it was possible. There's another bridge further north, I forget which
Right.
one, where they have an out,
One in
sort of an
Bradford, one in
outward
Bradford.
drive
That's what I'm
and-
thinking, that,
And they said, no,
Right.
their engineer said that this bridge is too long and
Yeah.
couldn't support it. And I talked to them and they said, well, the only thing that you could do would be to add, you could add some, it might be possible to add some sort of signage where when you enter the bridge as a pedestrian or a bicyclist, you can push the button and it flashes some lights for some period of time so that people at least know you're on there.
Yeah.
They also said another option would be to install lights so that it's just one way at a time, and that would give you room for people.
Yeah.
But I remember the conversation about that too, David, was that then things back up over the,
Yeah, they
over
totally
the
do.
railroad
All of
tracks.
those things have
and
other
up the hill
costs
and-
associated
And
with them.
across the intersection with the River Road, so that
Yeah.
they said that was really
Sean
not.
didn't like that, because he didn't like
Exactly.
he didn't like having cars have to back up past River Road, and there's
Yeah.
not much road there.
And across the
And
railroad tracks.
can't
yeah,
see around
the
that
train
corner
tracks is
coming
key.
down.
Yeah.
So,
I think we just saw a bus get clipped by one
Oh,
on the
God.
news.
People shouldn't park on the railroad tracks, and you know what, it's putting a value on vehicles ahead of other users of our public rights of way. So, I mean,
They couldn't put in anything,
Convenience.
engineering, they had to engineer the load for like, if it was absolutely packed with
Right.
200-pound people,
Yeah.
and it couldn't.
and cars.
Right.
So again, I would move that, again, our conversation here tonight will not contribute to any decision
No.
that is gonna be made.
it's
And
fine.
therefore, I think that having consensus of 1 and 4 as being the top priorities is clear. I don't hear anyone saying that 2 or 3 are
Not important.
not important. Not that they're not nearly impossible, but
I'm just saying, I'm just suggesting that 2 needs to be updated to sort of address the realities and the challenges.
Yeah, I always wondered about, with number 2, it's not really the Lyme Thetford Bridge that you care about, it's having pedestrian and bicycle access across the river. And,
Yeah.
you know, there was a place north of there where there used to be a bridge.
Right.
That North Thetford Bridge, and there's
Right.
still a
It's at
potholes
the
in the
North
river. I
Thetford.
always thought, I wonder if they could build a pedestrian bike,
well, kids
Bridge
go,
over there.
kids go out there and jump off them, so I mean, maybe we could,
Right.
Build
Could you
a-
put,
because you have landings on both sides, and,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, there's still infrastructure there, so.
So maybe we say for number 2, we'd recommend finding alternatives or additional options
Needs
to,
updating.
to pedestrian and bicycle access across Connecticut River. And just omit the Thetford Lyme Bridge.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Well-
I guess that would fall into C or
D,
D.
yeah.
Needs
Um,
updating.
I mean, I think it's kind of unrealistic. I can see some merit to crossing, you know, at North Thetford, but, you know, the fact of the matter is, you know, you're talking about stores and
Yeah.
essential services that are in East
Yes,
Thetford, not in North
Right,
Thetford.
exactly.
I think David was just spitballing. But
Yeah.
there must be other solutions.
Yeah.
Well, because I don't think you can do anything with the bridge, I think that's
Right.
not gonna happen. Because the bridge is historic, so you can't really modify it
Right.
in a way that allows you to expand it and add, so, then the only other thing you can do is look for some alternative way for people to cross it.
Or you could do some form of signalization, I mean, I think there's a signal at the bottom of Seminary Hill in West Lebanon, that, you know, one could argue that that's pretty slippery in the wintertime, but somehow they make it work, so, you know, it's not ideal, but, you know, I still think it's feasible to provide safety measures, especially when there aren't, you know, there are not a high number of incidents of people crossing that, but when they do cross it, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, you're taking your life in your
Well-
hands, really.
So I would move that we ascribe D to,
Number two.
to number 2.
Yep, that's a good move, I agree.
Yeah,
And then C to,
Yeah.
To 3.
the electric vehicle.
Yeah.
It would be a far better idea to put covered parking here with solar panels and chargers.
Yeah, except it's not gonna benefit.
There you go.
It doesn't benefit our businesses, I mean, part of the thing with having a
No,
charger.
but it benefits the employees.
Yeah.
Because we don't have to clean our cars off. It doesn't
That's
matter.
right.
It's a huge boost to our businesses if people
No,
have to wait
I
and
think it's you.
eat at Stella's or shop at the country
So
store.
a hint for the select board for another project to, it's an employee benefit and,
Yeah.
especially if we don't have to pay for the, if the employees don't have to pay for the charging.
Uh-huh. Well, that's,
so we're
Wow.
saying,
yeah.
There you go, that's good.
so we're saying 1 and 4 are As.
Yep,
2 is a D.
Yep.
3 is a C.
yep.
David is going to respond on our behalf to the Regional Planning Commission? Is that what we want to have happen? And I guess it should happen by the 14th, is that
Oh, that'll be,
Tuesday.
next
I will
Tuesday?
Yeah,
do
and,
that tomorrow.
Go ahead.
I wonder, David, if you could share our recommendations with Bill Malcolm, just because he's the rep, just to know what we're thinking, so it's not a surprise to him.
Yeah, that would be definitely a good courtesy.
And I would like to just celebrate the fact that we only went 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask how we did on the 10 minutes.
5 minutes long. I was
5 minutes
watching.
long, but
I was watching.
it was moving along, so I
Yeah.
didn't wanna.
I was watching.
Okay. So zoning amendment discussions. I have asked David to run down some of the items that we have talked about as being potential items for discussion. So I guess I'd like to
Okay.
give you the floor, and I think it's important for us to have a list of things so that we can then attack them. Nat has done some work on the,
Accommodation.
Lodging and
accommodations, which I think maybe we might wanna talk about at our next meeting. But I think we need to get the big picture here.
Okay, do you want to set a time?
Just a clarification, you're just introducing them just to get familiar with them, and then you'll send them out in an email that we can
Yes,
take
I
time
can.
to review it.
Yep.
Rich, as a point of order,
Yeah.
What's the right word? I spoke to Bill Malcolm at the community dinner a little bit
Yeah.
ago. And he said he'd really like to be invited into this process, to say, he wasn't prepared to say which ones he's still concerned about, but I think it's not necessarily helpful for David to spend a lot of time handing these out if Bill says, oh, no, the first 3, we don't care about those anymore, but these. So I think it would be really, I think it would be a better use of our time for us to invite Bill, perhaps all the members of the zoning board to come in and give us their current list.
And maybe we can share the list that David has.
Well, I think
with
David
them
has
before.
If I can
List
just speak to
from-
that,
Go ahead.
because I'm involved in both boards, so.
Of course you are.
Next Thursday, the zoning board is gonna meet, they have no cases, they're going to discuss issues that they have. Most of the board members are fairly new and have not encountered any of these issues. There's a list that I've sent out, that's been sent to the planning board multiple times in the past from Frank Bowles. I have given them that list, they're going to discuss those, and probably bring that list to the board So I was not going to bring those up tonight. I was only gonna bring issues that I know exist beyond that.
When you're trying to administer it,
Right.
yeah.
So this is, just to be clear, you said they have their own list, you are not gonna bring that list to this board?
Right, at this point in time, when, I want them to discuss it and be familiar with it, especially the new members, and then we can have a joint meeting and everyone can discuss it at that time, but I think at the,
2016,
Yeah.
it's a little haggled.
at that,
Okay.
in that way, the newer members of the zoning board will be familiar with all the issues that they have had.
Um,
So that's.
I guess it would make Bill Malcolm feel, I mean, from just my discussion with him, he would feel really good if we said, yes, I guess the answer would be to have a joint meeting.
Yep.
And
So can we make a motion to collectively agree to invite Bill Malcolm and the zoning board to our next available meeting to share their priorities?
Yep.
And
So, and you'll communicate that?
yes, I will
Well,
communicate that.
I think you gotta vote on that, if everyone wants to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that would be our next meeting is the 23rd of April.
Without having them have their discussion, I don't know if they're gonna be ready. So let me, I think it would be more beneficial to have them discuss and have them happy with what they wanna bring to the board. And
We don't want them coming if they're not ready to. Once they're ready, they can.
And so, since they haven't seen anything yet,
So
Propose it,
you
I guess.
think move it out a month then?
I don't,
Or
Yeah,
don't even schedule?
I wouldn't schedule it right now until at least I get a sense of what's going on next week.
Vicki?
Would it be appropriate to let them know that anytime we have zoning amendment discussion, they are welcome to come? Because they might wanna hear what our problems are and to sit and give our, their input during our discussion is gonna be beneficial, so I think
Absolutely, I can
the
relay that
attitude
to
we
them.
wanna say is, you guys are in this more deeply than we are, and we want you here, and you're welcome whenever we're doing that, so.
I can.
Is there any reason why we couldn't, every other time we meet, have a standing period of, standing item on the agenda in which the ZBA can come, and that time is allotted to them?
Go ahead, Vicki.
Well, we had set up like our meetings last year where if we didn't have cases, every other meeting would be a zoning amendment discussion meeting, and the alternate one would be work on the master plan.
Mhm.
So we used those for working on the survey, and then so that's how we organized so we could always say the second Tuesday is a master plan, and the fourth Tuesday is a zoning, that kind of thing. And I guess we can't really do the further work on the master plan right now until we get word from town council that we can go forward with working on things, so.
I would just say that if the zoning committee, and I've known Frank for a long time, if they somehow feel disenfranchised or disconnected or whatever word you wanna use with the planning board, that seems unusual. So making a gesture to say, you don't need an invitation.
Yeah.
We'll hold this every other, we'll hold a period of the agenda for you to come, you are part of this, then that can't be perceived or can't just fall into a routine.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I guess if we're gonna have a quorum of the zoning board present, we need to then be sure that the public is aware that both the planning board and zoning board have quorums that are meeting. And it would be really nice to set it up also more in a workshop setting, so they're not out there, but they're sitting around the table.
Okay.
And we're all working on it together, if we could do that.
It's a good suggestion.
Do we have the ability to
There's only
set these tables up?
4 or 5 of them.
Yeah, five of them.
We've got 2 on the ends, and we've got
And that-
3
Yeah, 2.
others here, so we've got enough.
Budget
for
committee
Friday.
meets in here and
Yeah.
there's
Okay,
more people than you
Cheap by
can swing a
jowl,
cat at. so.
okay.
There are 2 seats available,
Well,
third
3.
one, fourth, fifth.
Yep, yep,
Yeah.
yeah, we got enough room.
And I can sit, you know,
No,
I'm saying.
you need to be here. Keep us,
And not everyone's gonna show up every time.
no.
So, yeah, if you want to add just one meeting that you want to talk about zoning ordinance changes and set that, you know, like the first or the second meeting of the month.
Somebody wanna make a motion, and then we'll just vote on it and move on?
I'll make a motion that we work on the zoning every meeting until we get the go-ahead to go forward with our housing master plan chapter.
And
So
is it the entire meeting, or is it a portion of the meeting?
Or just put it on the agenda and-
Just put it on the agenda,
Yeah.
and, you know, if we have regional planning commission or whatever else comes in, you know, we make room for that.
Or a site plan review or something.
Yeah,
I think the one advantage of setting a specific one is, instead of saying any of them, is that it will concentrate them so they can put it on their schedule and say like, okay, so this is the one that I have to come to, as opposed to it just being,
yeah, we don't, I mean, if we don't have anything else on the agenda, we're gonna be working on the zoning amendments
so,
anyway, so.
so why don't we just say this, what is it, the first and third, is that what it?
We're the second and fourth.
Second and fourth, so why don't we just say the fourth meeting, the, whatever it
Fourth
is,
Thursday of the month,
of the month,
yeah.
we'll reserve a time for the ZBA to participate in conversations.
They're welcome anytime in my view.
Right.
Um,
They're always
I think
welcome,
it'd be-
public is welcome,
But
but,
they're specifically welcome,
I think, yeah, we need to,
particularly welcome.
if they're coming to our meeting, they have to be coming for a purpose, and we have to be prepared
right,
to talk about something that's of interest, usually of interest
To
to
them.
each other.
Yep.
Well, I would hope that whatever we're talking about around the zoning is of interest to them. I mean, it'd be nice if they said, oh, that's a horrible idea. And we're like, oh, we thought it was a good idea for this and reason. I mean, you know, I would like it to be a collaborative effort if we could.
Yeah,
I think that the troubles that the zoning board has with the current ordinance are not that they're terrible ideas, it's that there are these corner cases and contradictions and whatever, that
Spaghetti code.
we have no idea how to interpret this, and so
Yep.
it's not that it's a bad idea, it's just help us interpret this properly.
Mhm.
So,
Well,
so you may have.
I'm supportive of your motion that we always have time on the fourth Thursday to entertain the zoning board if they wanna come and talk to us about specific things, and it would be helpful if they could provide that to David earlier in the week, so we'd have a chance to think about it as well. So I second that motion.
so, we've got a motion, any further discussion?
So I had a clarification, I guess. Are we gonna invite them to come to one meeting where we're just prepared to hear their concerns? So somehow we've decided, we're gonna make that offer to them.
Mhm.
They'll probably take us up. And then we are also meeting on the fourth Thursday to take up zoning amendment.
and they can submit items for the agenda
Right,
that are completely their own.
that sounds great.
And I think the reason that I would prefer it to be some, one and not both, is simply because I think we have to also recognize that each committee exists separately because it has independent work to do. And if we say both, and we're saying you're always welcome, then why not just have one big committee? By recognizing that there's a distinct one meeting every other time we meet, recognizes the independent work that needs to be done by this committee, which is different from the ZBA, but also recognize the cross need for meeting together, so.
As a scheduling issue, if we have hearings, we really need to have those first.
Yep.
So, we can set time aside, but, next week, or not the week after next, Ray Clark has asked to come meet with the board to talk about 38 Union Street. And so, that would push their time further, and it's always difficult to invite someone to a meeting and they say, oh, now you have to wait until,
Well, but if we have it on the agenda, and we say that this conversation will end at this time, and this conversation will begin at this time, then, you know, the people that aren't gonna start until 7 o'clock, will run until 7 o'clock, and then they're not waiting. But then at 7 o'clock, we say, all right, at this point, if we haven't made a decision, it needs to be pushed to next week, and we are taking up the business as on the agenda at such and such a time.
Certainly can figure this out, yes.
It's gonna put a lot of pressure on you.
Sure is.
Well, I mean, I think the pressure is on all of us, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's mainly on the guy who's running the meeting,
Absolutely.
because he's gotta decide
But
when
I
to truncate
think-
the
Yeah,
discussion,
yeah.
whether or not there's time to do a vote,
Mhm.
whether there's any sign of consensus that
Yeah.
a vote would be meaningful.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Ray has to understand, or anybody, that we're giving them a finite amount of time and that they need to present their concerns or case in a succinct manner so that we can actually give them input or.
Yeah. Are we obligated to give them a decision after the meeting? I mean,
It sounds like this is informal.
it will be an informal, yes.
There's no site plan to review.
Right,
So
So-
informal, there's no decision, we can't
Right.
give him a decision.
right. Are there occasions when you guys are something is being presented to you and you have to make a decision by that date?
Yeah, we have, you should review the RSAs, but, once an application is submitted to us and we
Mhm.
deem it to be complete, there's a timeline by which we need to make a decision, or we can have the applicant agree, to extend it. So, we start an official time clock once that application is deemed to be complete. And I think that just as a courtesy for most of our applicants, we need to get through that review to make sure that the application is complete during that first meeting.
Mhm.
Otherwise, kind of holding them up,
Mhm.
you know, because they go away, we don't meet again for 2 weeks, and during that time, they could be addressing informational needs that we have, or, you know, getting input from the fire chief or whatever
Right.
needs to be done, so.
So in those cases, as the discussion is going, if at the end of the meeting, there isn't a decision, you would say this meeting is not for discussions, but to raise questions. There's conversations, and at the time at which we need to end, you would simply say, all right, what are the questions that people would like to submit? And then we can each submit them. We don't have to explain why we have the question, we don't need to say what we think the answer is. We can just say, this remains an open issue for me, that by the next meeting, if we have to make the decision by then, this is when I would expect an answer to that question.
Well, one of the issues that we have, it feels to me like it's a little bit cumbersome going through the application, just the process of finding out if it's complete, you know, because
Mhm.
it seems quite tedious.
Well, it is tedious. When I worked in Hanover, staff used to do the evaluation of completeness and provide that to the planning board. So then the planning board could review it before the meeting and either agree or disagree. So,
Right.
I mean, I think that rather than us reading the thing and going through, I think that would be a way to expedite how we process applications.
It is, I'm not sure whether we have the staff to do it.
That's, the issue is, you know, I try to look at everything ahead of time, but I don't always have the time to go through absolutely everything, you know, it's.
Well, it's getting your, focus on that, I mean, we are the ones who are on the hook. We are the planning board, it's not staff that does this decision-making, it's up to us to have enough information to make an informed decision. And, as we just agreed to in terms of our kind of objectives, we're supposed to be sure that it's compliant with our regulations and with state law to the best of our abilities, and we may need to ask about that. But, so we, it's on us, but it's helpful if we don't have to look on the survey to see if there's a compass or a graphic
Yeah,
scale or
those
that
things,
type
yeah,
of things,
very
yeah.
easy to-
Or we don't often get the deed, we don't know about easements, that might be disclosed to, to you on the deed, so if you have seen the deed and say, oh yeah, that's already here, we know about that, that's helpful.
I mean, when I get the plan, the first thing I do is I go through the checklist, and I actually mark up my copy with marker, and say, yes, here is this, and, you know, try to find then abutters, check all the names and
Yeah,
addresses
yeah.
of abutters.
Well, it sounds to me like it would be helpful to the board if we got a copy of your reviewed checklist so that we can focus on, we don't have to focus on the north arrow where the butters are listed or, you know.
Yeah, I'm very happy to do that.
superfluous things.
You know, I do that with every application, so it's,
And, you know, it's a matter of interpretation too, some of the things, is this adequate or not?
right.
You know, it may have been provided, but Rich being an engineer may say, but it's not real, or it really doesn't convince me that this is an adequate
Yeah.
design, or, you know, that type of thing.
And I know for when I'm doing it, there are times that I write on my own personal checklist a question mark.
Right, no,
Because I
your
am,
comments are really important to us.
because I find, I'm not sure if it really meets the requirement. And I think a lot of people, when they submit things, they don't read through the requirements, and, you know, there are multiple maps that are required, and they may put a lot of detail on 2 maps when 3 are required, but you actually have everything you want. And so, you know, if the board wants to be, you know, strict in their interpretation of the regulations, say, okay, you need to provide a map with this, a map with that, you know, I can be very clear to applicants that that's what they need to provide.
Go ahead, Vicky.
The applicants can also, I mean, if the information is all on one sheet and it's clear, then they can request a waiver, and that's kind of on them to
Yep.
request a waiver. It shouldn't have to be to us to say, oh, it's all here and it's on, you know, one sheet instead of 3. They should,
Yep.
you know, the kind of burden is on them to say, you know, we don't need to do a 3rd sheet because it's here clearly.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is we've drifted off the topic. That we do wanna have meetings with the zoning board, that we're gonna add an opportunity for them the 4th Thursday every month. We're gonna offer them, starting some specific meeting coming up to address it when they're ready to talk to us about all their problems. And David has a list of things that he finds hard to administer that we can talk about tonight. And you have, on another topic, we now have some questions about how to do site plan reviews that we might wanna have a more structured conversation about.
Agreed. I think that the last thing is another topic for the conversation,
Well,
not this one.
you're a newbie, so, but you've been through stuff, right, as, sitting as an applicant, so you know what we're talking about.
Yep.
So I think, as Hebe said, I think we agree that we want to be able to meet with the zoning board on the 4 Thursdays.
Yeah, I can put that on the agenda.
After time that they're ready. And in the interim, we'd like to hear from you, David, in terms of items that you are concerned with, or, yeah, items that you're concerned with.
So,
Can I propose it's 8 o'clock that we have a half-hour discussion?
Absolutely.
okay, we can get through 1 maybe? So I'm going to, the first thing I want,
Are you just going through these so we know them, or are we actually giving you clarification on this?
well, I'm going to go through the issue. We don't have to try to figure it out, but I'm going to at least go through
So this time, we're going through it, we're discussing it, there's no decision. At the next meeting, after we've heard it, we've reviewed it, we've had our discussion, we can make a determination?
I won't guarantee you, we'll figure it out by then.
Okay, but you're not seeking anything right now?
And
No, I am not.
changes
We
to the
just
ordinance
wanna-
require votes by the town, don't they?
Oh,
Yeah,
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 well, we
but-
need to have public hearings
Yeah,
and.
exactly,
and-
so-
Yeah, so yeah, this
So
is.
we're just airing the issues, I think.
Yeah. So the first one is the Agricultural Soils Conservation District. And we are looking at the new book, page 30, well, it's page 34. 33 is just the header. And we're looking at the special exceptions. And in particular, the part that says, if the lot is being subdivided or has been subdivided within the last 10 years, the 25% of the area that somebody would be asking to be able to use in the agricultural soils shall be applied to the parent lot. And this is something that the zoning board would have to do. And it is very unworkable. If you have a subdivision and the zoning board is applying the 25% to the parent lot, then they're saying, well, this lot that is not under an application they're actually making a ruling on all the lots within that parent lot. So they would be trying to apply that 25%, and so they would be, people who may not be even abutters, because you could be several lots away if it's a large subdivision. And how do you apply that 25%? Especially when you look at the ag soils, and it's not a clear division across all lots.
So your question surrounds parent lot. Who is the parent lot?
No, we know who the parent lot is. How do you?
How do you ascribe the 25% to that parent lot?
And legally, you're actually saying, if you're applying it to the parent lot, you would have to apply it to all the subdivided lots.
As well,
How do you
because,
apply the 25% to the various owners,
Yeah.
you know,
And-
current owners?
You have current owners who may not be at the hearing, that you're applying this to, and, I think, if, an owner, came back and said, okay, I wanna now apply for ag soils on my lot, and said, oh yeah, 2 years ago, 2 lots over applied for ag soils, and you were given this amount.
So it sounds like the real problematic part is if it's been subdivided within the last 10 years. If it's currently being subdivided, then it's all owned by that person, and you could apply the 25% rule, if there's one owner.
Right, if there's one owner.
So it's only if if it was subdivided in the past, it becomes untenable.
Yeah.
Well, and then isn't there a terminus, because if it hasn't been subdivided in the past 10 years, then you get your own 25%.
Right,
So it's, yeah, so,
so,
but that's,
I don't, I'm not grasping the problem here.
Could I'm with you. How can we get a clear description of the goal of this whole lot of language that talks about agricultural soils and all? I know in the past, Tim Cook has said ag soils are sacred. We just can't build on them. I don't think that was realistic then. I mean, if you look at the emergency procedures, the board that they say should the apocalypse come, it doesn't use those words, but we may need to farm those agricultural soils. And I don't think there's anybody in Lyme that would support that. I mean, certainly, hardly any people in Lyme would be able to take those ag soils that they've carefully preserved not carefully not built on, and suddenly become farmers. So, I'll go back to my original question, can anyone give a straightforward description of the problem all of this verbiage is supposed to solve?
Well, I don't think we wanna open that can of worms per se, but I just don't understand, I don't understand what the issue is here. I mean, you've got a parent lot, and if somebody's subdivided, 3 acres, or let's say 10 acres off of a 100-acre parcel, you've got the 90 acres that are still left. The guy I think this is saying the guy that owns the 90 acres, he's got the
No, the parent lot is
The 100.
the 100, the full acreage.
Yeah, it's the ag soils
But-
that is the
Yeah,
25%.
but the guy that's owning the 90 acres, he's responsible for not developing all of the ag soils, other than what was reserved in that first subdivision.
So Vicki, I asked the question, you stuck your hand up, were you gonna
Yeah,
answer
I'm
my
gonna
question?
say, each of these conservation districts has a, kind of goal statement, or what, so
Yeah.
page 18 has that.
Yeah.
And that talks about why we, feel ag soils are important, and it sounds like you have a problem with that goal. And so rather than
Well,
attacking the
okay.
regulation, what you need to do is, deal with the goal, cause that's our stated goal. And you, whether you
Okay,
think it's
all right.
legitimate or not,
All right.
this is the goal that's in our rule
This-
that our
these are
town
the
has,
rules, okay.
has voted.
All right.
So there you
So
go.
that's a good statement. And then,
Ag soils are defined.
right, okay, so,
Ag soils are defined on the
Yes.
town map.
Okay.
So we know.
however, this is a meeting to discuss changes to the zoning ordinance.
Well, no,
No,
this,
no,
the
no,
item,
we need
no,
to
the
discuss
item is
David's
I'm-
the
problem.
interpretation of
So
what the
I-
zoning ordinance
Oh,
says.
Rich,
all right.
If, well, I'm gonna
Answer.
side with Rich and say if the solution to this is to change the goals,
So be it, but that's gonna go in front of the town.
right, but it's still, so I think it's a
Right.
valid part of the discussion.
So, Rich, my understanding is that the problem is if a lot was subdivided 10 years ago,
Mhm.
it has a different ownership on the two pieces, and you're trying
Four
to.
more pieces, that's where you
Or-
run into real problems.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's a better example, is if you had 100 acres that's been subdivided into 4 25-acre parcels.
Exactly.
And then
Right.
this rule has to apply to the whole 100
4.
acres instead of each piece.
And so,
Or not, or we rewrite it so that it would be, the 4 parcels would be considered 4 independent
Yeah.
ag soil properties.
Right.
Seems to me to be much fairer.
Yes.
Yeah.
And much more
Yes.
concrete.
Yes.
Right, because to your point, how do you're going back to a point of ownership that no longer exists.
Right.
It no longer exists as a 100-acre lot, it now exists as 4 independent lots held by 4 different owners.
That's right. And under this rule, if one of those owners gets in front of the board first and takes 25% of the parent lot, he could suck up all the ag soils on
Right.
the other 3 without them even knowing.
Right.
or
Or,
it could be that, he wants to do he has a small strip of ag soil that he wants to cross with a driveway. And needs a certain, a small, not even needs the 25%, but when you apply it equally across all 4 lots, he may not have enough area to, get a simple driveway across
Right,
a
but
strip.
in that situation, wouldn't we just say, we have to come together with all the owners, all the 4, say if there's 20, to your point, 4 owners of this 100 acres that own 25% or 25 acres, the 4 would agree, yes, we'll let this person have this egress to a
But
driveway.
again, then you're,
You can't base rules on that kind of hypothetical agreement between neighbors.
I think what we need to do is, as a planning board, make it clear at the time of subdivision, how much you got, and
That
what,
was
where it is,
what the sacred ag soil is. I mean, maybe there's a little piece down here that would be good to cross, whereas this piece connects with a bigger piece of ag soil that could be farmed, you know?
Yeah, why did they do this in the first place? Does anyone have any understanding about what the justification for this 10-year backward-looking?
Yeah, the subdivision thing.
Yeah, it seems wacky to me, it seems like just an invitation for chaos.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that is, and
Maybe we invite
Well-
Tim to speak to it,
Well,
'cause
No, I don't
Tim wants to come, and I saw him at, the rally or whatever, and he said he would come and help us try to problem solve this.
I've talked with him extensively, and what we have come up with for a solution is that you break up the ag soils at the time of subdivision. You put it in, you take it out of here, put it in the subdivision regulations,
Yeah.
that if there's, ag soils on the property, the board will develop building envelopes for,
Yeah.
or apply reasonable amounts of that 25% of the parent lot to the individual lots. That would be done at the time of subdivision, it would be recorded on the plan, and then there would be no question in the future of.
But when you subdivide though, doesn't each lot have the ag soils doesn't get decided by us, that's decided by.
That's already,
it's
Yeah,
already
so,
decided.
so depending on how you break up a lot, isn't it just gonna be, each lot has its own, whatever it has as ag
Portion of-
soil, and then.
Yeah.
what would
but
you-
I think the point is, trying not to break up large pieces of ag soil. So looking at the development areas on the individual lots, if you can avoid a larger ag soil area, think about a big field
All
that
right,
gets
let's
subdivided.
let's use specifics, let's say going out East Thetford, you got what used to be Record Ridge Farm and all that, those are ag soils, right?
Yeah.
Let's just, I think right now they're in conservation or whatever, but let's just say that you have that parcel of land and somebody who owned it, let's say I owned it, and I'd be like, hey, look, I wanna subdivide. I got 100 acres right there on East Thetford Road, I wanna subdivide it into 4 things. I sell that 100 acres that's broken up into 4 subdivisions. To David's point, what I'm saying is, I'm taking that 100 acres, I'm dividing into 4 pieces, and each person has this number of acres of developable land and this many acres of ag soil. And then, that is the new designation for ag soil, that if I'm breaking it up into 4 pieces, each development or subdivision gets a portion of that ag soil,
Or not.
or not.
Or not, right, and in fact, that's gonna factor into the price. Oh, you got all the rocks and the steep slopes, your 25 acres is gonna be cheaper, but, I mean,
The economics doesn't really
Well,
matter.
it
What we're trying to
doesn't,
do
but-
in this is protect ag soils, okay?
And I think
So-
you're
Okay.
trying to, you're trying to protect a contiguous
Right.
portion,
Right.
so that,
So then why don't we?
so that
why don't we-
parcel A, B, C, and D all share a contiguous or something that makes sense for agriculture in the
Right,
future.
because you divide things up and you've got one parcel here and then it's interrupted by another parcel here. So, maybe what we have to say, if we're trying to protect ag soils and somebody wants to develop it, we can say that's fine. But this portion must remain in ag soil, cannot be further subdivided, period, after its initial subdivision. After that, it can't be. Because if what we're trying to do is protect ag soils, let's just do that.
Yeah.
Let's stop trying to say, okay, well, you've subdivided, and now, 10 years later, somebody wants to subdivide again. Guess what? You can't.
So do the subdivision and plot the ag soil on each of the subdivided pieces and potentially lay out a building envelope.
Yeah, that's
And then the rest of it goes into, I don't wanna say conservancy, but essentially it's protected land. You can't, hey, that's great, you've got 25 acres, and you wanna do something with another, 10 of your 25 acres, well, go punch sand, I don't know,
Cool,
so.
all right.
So that,
It's kind of like, there's this thing about cluster development that
Mhm.
you probably all have heard of. And in that case, there's your 100-acre piece with your ag soils, and what you wanna do is create building envelopes that are clustered, actually, to reduce costs for utilities and driveways.
Yep.
And then those nice house lots are all surrounded by ag land.
Excellent.
And,
And no further development to
right,
that.
and so
and
they
we
can
take
ski on
this.
it, or they can, have cows on it,
Yeah.
or, let somebody grow hay on it.
Right.
Isn't that current use?
And keep it in
If there's
curriculum.
enough,
Separate, right?
if there's enough area.
Yeah,
So that was item one.
Yep.
so we've solved that, David, it's no longer a problem.
You just have to
Well,
implement. the-
Yeah, exactly.
Right
You just
now, we have to like change the
the
rule to
language.
say something different, actually,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and possibly take it out and put it in the
and to make explicit what,
subdivision
what the
rules.
goal is, which is, if it's,
Well,
I don't know.
Well, read the goal, look on page 18.
no, I'm looking at it right
And-
here.
And, yeah, we need to read that, Rich, if you think it needs to be something different, bring that
Well, your point's well taken,
Yeah.
that's the words that are there.
here, and if you
And
think
we're-
it's
we are
ridiculous-
choosing not to address those words.
Well, you might, I mean, maybe
Well-
that's, you think is the root of the problem, but, yeah, I mean,
Cool.
yeah. Okay, egg soil, so we got that.
Next.
Okay, the next one is plan development.
What
But-
page?
Well, I'm gonna say page 11 in the definitions. And it says a mix of residential and institution or business uses.
Mhm.
My reading of that is that a plan development requires both.
Mhm.
And I've talked to a few people who would have liked to have done smaller residential developments without the need for a business use. But under the definition,
Mhm.
and again, maybe the board wants to have, but I know Rusty Keith, his little area, when, before it was up for,
This one right
yeah, this one right up here.
Mhm.
He was struggling to try to find a business use that he could put in there that would work. The Record Ridge Farm, the new owner there, has talked about being able to do a small development of smaller houses on that property. But is also concerned about having to do a business use.
Mhm.
It kind of dovetails with the fact that, when I talked to Rusty, is like, he couldn't build something that was an office, which
Yeah.
would be a business use, because no new office spaces were allowed to be
Mhm.
built in the Lyme Common District. So it kind of dovetails with table
Or one.
Or one.
So, Rich?
So,
I
yeah,
wonder if we could, and how people feel about this, because I actually had said I wanted to work on this one, but I wondered about, could a plan development mean also a mix of housing types? So it could be a multi-unit with a couple of singles, and that would be part of the plan development, with or without a business use. I mean, is that something that people like the sound of?
Is the and business use, is that, because I remember that the common, or businesses around the common must have residential apartments attached to them in some ways. Is that where the genesis of this is? That we wanted to keep the common residential as well as business?
Yes, we wanted mixed use.
Okay, so the goal here of the common being mixed use, so it doesn't become completely a business district.
Or completely residential.
Or, okay, right.
Because we wanna still have.
That's what's at play here, and that's why it says and.
I'm
Well-
not I think it's more the conversion, needing to keep, 10% or something into residential use,
Well, if you're converting a residential building into a business, you have to keep a.
10%.
Yeah, well, I think it's actually 40,
Or
15,
okay,
yeah,
there's
there is a
certain
percentage.
I think that was the one that was meant to keep that mix of uses. and I'm not sure, about this. I need to,
So, you know, I guess I'd like to say, a way to fix this,
Mhm.
the plan development, in 4.49 on page
Uh-huh.
25 says, point A says, at least 15% of the floor area shall be reserved for residential use. I think it would be I think everything else is fine if it said a plan development that was 100% residential is permitted. I mean, that's, you know, not require somebody to try to shoehorn a business use into, look, I'm gonna build a bunch of units, and have people live there. That, I think, completely addresses certainly the concern that I heard in Rusty's case. I just say, it doesn't have to include business, and certainly, you're welcome to do it, and that might be something you wanna do, but
But that means all you'd have to do is really change the plan development definition to be, instead of an and, to an
Right.
or.
Or,
yeah. And
Conjunction,
to make sure that, because sometimes it's confusing where you have
Yeah.
different residential types, that a mix of those residential types is also allowed in our plan development. 'Cause it's not just single family, but that you could have,
And I'm gonna just throw this out to consider in the mix is
Uh-huh.
residential and lodging and accommodations. Again, thinking, the people have talked about the Dowd's Inn,
Airbnbs,
but having a, you know, taking the back half of the building and making that residential and the front half, keeping it as an inn. So you're allowing that mixed use.
well,
On the lot.
is lodging a business use?
yes.
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 Okay, so I mean, that's covered. Hebe, I wanted to go back and ask the question, you said, well, all we would have to do is change
Or,
or to an and?
And to an or. A mix of residential
Or,
institutional or / business uses.
Okay, and then it would say, you've gotta have at least 15%
Residential,
residential.
yeah.
Boy, that's an easy change.
and therefore, maybe one we should be cautious about.
Yeah,
Easy answers are,
Get me a button. That was easy.
Unintended
yeah.
consequences.
Yes, but that, I think that,
Potentially,
that makes it satisfies every desire, yeah.
Rich, I would
Yes.
say that I'm not at the point where I would say that satisfies me. What I
Okay.
understand the issue to be, that is a solution. What I don't understand is what the downstream implications of that would be. So I would say, yeah, okay, so to get over the issue that I would say I understand at this point, which may be very early or uninformed, that would solve it. But what I don't understand is the implications of that in ways that I don't have the experience to.
But if you say a mix of residential or institutional or business, are you now excluding the mixture?
So that's in fact
well,
why I was saying.
that's, the 15% required for residential.
Still forces it.
Stuffs the residential stuff back into it. What I would wonder, if, Nancy Grandin's house, or that lot, if they wanna develop that, would that be a planned development potentially?
The current, as I understand it, is 4 apartments and maybe an ADU. So it would be a conversion.
The conversion, because there's a lot of land there.
It's 2 lots.
It's 2 lots, I know, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, she has a nice big side yard, and then there was the whole lot between that and the parish.
Right.
hmm.
So potentially could build a whole nother,
it's nice that the different lots are there because they can each then be maximized. And it's nice that it's flat. I mean,
It goes
parking
way back,
off-
doesn't it?
off the
It
road.
does, goes all the way back.
Anyway,
yeah.
Ray is going to come talk to,
Right.
Ray
Yeah,
Clark is going to come
exactly.
talk to the board next week about it,
Okay,
our next meeting.
yeah,
But,
well, good.
but a Dowd's Inn conversion to apartments, how, is that a planned development?
that would be a conversion.
Well,
as I
that's,
understand it.
that's specifically allowed, I think, under, with the new language in the ordinance to
Yeah,
say
okay,
as many
Yeah.
units as fit.
so it's not a planned development.
No.
It's under the conversion.
I think that's confusing, and I think that.
In more than one building,
that-
it's the more than one building, I think.
Well,
Planned
it just said, like, is a planned development only built from new? Why
Right.
couldn't you use some existing buildings to be part of your new development? And so even though they are quote conversions, I think the conversion thing, I think that needs to be clarified in that as well. Because you should be able, I mean, I think our intent is to try to keep existing structures,
Right.
to kind of keep the massing and architectural feel of the community, and then add to, so that we want them to be there as part of it.
Right.
So,
So maybe conversions need to be addressed at the same time, so that.
That was my next
Oh, okay.
one to bring up, the
Nice.
conversions are, for the new amendment, that's going to need some tweaking.
Right,
Um,
right.
And I really would caution the board to try to make sure that any changes are done in the spirit of what the town passed.
Right.
That make sure that,
Our job is not to renegotiate the decision.
Right.
It is to make the language or the intent of the decision consistent with what is on the books.
Yeah.
Right.
Find the way to yes.
yeah, and then, item A, in the conversions.
Excuse me.
What page are you on?
24. Structures less than 5 years old or structures which were not served by wiring, heating, plumbing, including sanitary facilities during the previous 5 years, shall not be converted to any other use, or any use other than a single dwelling.
Bless you.
Excuse me.
I would like the board to just revisit that. There are, one of the things, for planned development, you can't build a new office building. You have to convert. But let's say you wanted to convert an old garage on your property and turn that into an office. If there's no heating and plumbing in that garage for the last 5 years, you can't. So you can't create your own office in your garage, or out of your garage in an existing building.
So that means
Well, but
people
you could
people couldn't move into old barns and make them homes?
They could make it a single
A
family.
single family in an old barn.
But hold it, you can have a home occupation, so if it's yours, you can use to make that into an office.
Can you make it into an ADU?
I think you could make it into it because it would be a single dwelling. But you're converting a garage, which is,
Well, but
into-
if if Nancy had a garage and she's a lawyer and she wants to move her computer into the garage, what's the problem? I don't see that.
I don't think that is probably, if you want to use, I guess, and rent it out is.
It's a rented out,
Yeah.
that's the thing, where it's no longer a home occupation, but
Right,
that
but
then
it's
it's
still-
a business
Yeah.
use that.
But is that, such a bad thing?
Mhm,
Saying that you can't use any other use for an older building.
mhm, than a residence.
Yeah.
So then,
Yeah.
what we're suggesting is that next March, we submit language in which that requirement is omitted. That people can convert any standing structure for any purpose.
No,
Well,
because,
for-
we still need to respect, where you can have planned development, if that's
Yeah.
what you're gonna
Yeah.
be creating is a mix. Planned developments are only allowed in certain spots, you can't have them all over
A
town.
Right.
a conversion could be up to six
Six
units.
units,
So, I think that's what Jeff is talking about, is changing that A to allow structures to be converted to up to 6 units, even if they don't have plumbing and
Plumbing,
wiring.
electric.
okay.
I'm just saying.
That's
in-
what I heard.
Yeah.
but I think, I don't know, I have issues with that, because, if you have a pole barn,
Yep.
I don't think, I personally don't think I wanna see a pole barn become a 6-unit apartments.
Okay.
Just because it's a pole barn, because they then have the right to tear that down and start from scratch.
Oh, is that what that says?
No.
I think there are other places that allow you, if the building is not suitable for your needs, you can tear it down. And that is, where is that, David?
Well, there's,
That's the,
All right, so then it seems that and I apologize, it seems that we shifted, that is a new,
I think that's another issue with, that I was also going to bring up with conversions, is that how much, when you're converting an old building, how much of that old building needs to remain? That, I don't know if you own the lot
Yeah,
across the
there's
street
a story
that has
that-
a set of, a barn with, like a
George
horse
Washington's
shed,
axe.
exactly, yeah.
up against the brook. It's
people
pretty
tear down everything
dilapidated.
but one wall and say it's a renovation.
Right.
Okay, well, that building across kitty corner from the bridge from me, I mean, there's an old building that's sitting right against the road, and it's definitely really close to the brook, and it's got a roof, and it's got electricity, no plumbing, and should they be able to put, 2 units of housing in there?
Well, the problem with there is that they couldn't put in a septic
Except,
if it's so
unless
close.
they, yeah, I mean, they could pump it across the street possibly, but,
So what is the problem we're trying to solve right now? Because we now bounced.
to conversions.
Yeah.
Right,
I think
so-
that the problem is that if you have a building that has no plumbing, sewer, you can't convert it to anything, even if let's say you have a garage, you wanna convert it to something that's allowed in table 4.1.
Mhm.
You can't do anything other than a single residence.
Yep.
So you game it by putting in a single apartment in a big barn.
Or not even a
Wait,
big barn.
Well, no, I'm just saying, for
Yeah.
example, you put in a single apartment in a big barn, and then 5 years later, you build 5 more
5 more
apartments in the barn.
Well, it's not so bad, I mean, as long as they get the septic, and they have parking.
I know, but why make them wait 5 years if we really
Oh, I
want to
see.
encourage
So I wanna-
housing?
So I wanna come back to your question, Rich,
Mhm.
which is, the big pole barn. Is that what you hear these guys talking about? Like, you say a garage, okay. There's a limited space in garage, you couldn't put 6 units in a garage, well, I mean, my garage, you can put 6 units. But a pole barn, you certainly could, right? A big pole barn.
Potentially, I
Right.
mean,
And you want to avoid the situation in which that 6 apartments would go into a big pole barn. So now what I'm trying to understand is Dave's description of garage being converted versus something that is larger and could house a much
Yeah,
larger.
just for a visual, John Bigelow's barn
Yeah,
behind his house.
okay. Where is that threshold
Yeah,
between
exactly.
what is okay and what is not? And that's kind of what I'd like to hear from people, like, when is it okay and when is it not? Because what it seems to me the language is trying to say is, look, if you've got a structure, you can convert it, but it can only have one family in it.
Right.
And that's their control. That language is the control to avoid a big pole barn becoming 6 units.
and you were really talking about a big new pole barn, because if it's over 5 years old, then it can be converted.
Not if it didn't have plumbing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the plumbing thing is the eliminator.
Structures listed by.
And I think, definitely there's an issue with, taking an old pole barn that structurally you're not going to be able to convert to apartments. And you would end up saying, okay, I gotta tear the whole thing down and rebuild
Right.
from scratch, and now you go from a pole barn to a, what could look like a cheap apartment building.
Right.
And so you're losing the look and feel of the town that you're trying to preserve.
Does this do anything to address that?
No,
So,
no, we don't have any architectural controls.
Okay, so let's not even worry about that right now. Let's worry about what this is trying to control and the language that's in there and how that language can be applied to trigger or to limit the type of development we want in our community as defined in this book.
That's what we're trying to
Right.
do.
Right.
I mean, with, I mean, it would be, you know, like John Bigelow's pole barn, is that in the Lyme Common District?
Yes.
Is that just out? So, I mean, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly where we want it. It's close to town, too bad we don't have a sidewalk so people could walk in. But maybe there's paths, you know, the Neil Loop, and they can take that to go to Stella's or, you know, the country store, so.
But he's got power but not sewer.
Right, and so for me, it's all about location, and my interest is keeping our density in the downtown area where people kind of wanna be anyway, and I don't have a problem with that pole barn being, or that
I
barn.
mean, I think it's a
being-
regular posted beam.
Yeah, I think it's actually quite I mean, there's dances and
Yeah.
lots of hooplas that have happened there
Right,
over time,
right.
so, yeah, I mean, that's a great structure. I wish the yellow barn on North Thetford Road,
Telando, Tellers,
yeah, I mean, that thing has some housing, but the whole thing, I mean, we could put a lot of units in there, but that's not like where, I don't believe that's the right place for density.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think
All
we're,
right,
I think
so-
we're
I think-
migrating.
we've done our half hour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so what's our assignment for next time?
I'd like to know what the takeaway, what was the takeaway from what we just did?
I heard that David has problems with ag soils, planned development, conversions,
Yeah,
and that we need to make them consistent and probably more in line with what we're trying to accomplish in terms of land use and accommodating housing.
yeah.
So can I make a request that of those three things, could you write down how you see those in conflict with one another? So that we can look at that specifically to address that or to understand at least what the conflict is.
I think the ag soil are different from
Yeah.
planned development and conversion.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the plan development and conversions kind of go together.
Yeah,
Yes,
Okay,
yeah,
Yeah.
so any conflict there is
so can you basically say?
try to capture that.
Yeah, here's the question or here's the conflict that I see inherent in these two pieces. And then in terms of ag soil, it's
We
a
solved that.
standalone,
We've solved that.
great.
We might be able to solve that.
Yeah. Cool.
So,
If I
I'm
just-
supposed to summarize something, and I'm not sure
Can I add just
That's
one
what we were
more,
just doing,
to
just
get-
the-
I had one
Yeah.
more item,
No.
no, okay.
No, we're at time.
We did our half hour, Dave.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
I'll bring it up next time.
So, right,
Exactly.
That's the
And
next
we wanna
time?
hear it next time.
Definitely do.
So, for next time, it's the fourth Thursday of the month, but the zoning board will not have.
Well, what I will do, they will have met, I will put it on the agenda. How about if we give 15 minutes, half hour, or whatever the board thinks, to the zoning board, if they want to come
Yeah,
and discuss it, with the caveat that when they are ready, and they tell me they're ready, I will set aside,
The audit amount.
regular
uh,
monthly.
during one of the regular monthly meetings, I will set aside time for a joint meeting.
And they will provide us with agenda items.
Right, with things that they would like to see,
Yeah.
but,
And Ray's definitely coming next time?
He said he was, he talked to me today and said he
Okay, well,
really
what
would.
time is he gonna come, so I guess.
Well,
make it
that's,
clear.
I need to set that time.
And I don't know if the zoning board wouldn't wanna sit in on that. I think them hearing what Ray has to say is probably more interesting than Ray sitting in on a zoning discussion.
So do Ray first and zoning second?
Does that
Yeah.
sound good to
I mean,
you?
anytime that you can do that,
Yeah.
Yeah,
where you can say, this is relevant to this group, let's
Yeah.
put this one first.
yeah,
That's why, you don't necessarily have to say the first 15 minutes of the meeting is for the
Right.
ZBA. It's 15 minutes of the meeting is gonna be for
Right,
ZBA.
right. And is Ray gonna need to go to the zoning board?
I have not seen full plans yet,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think what he wants to do is come for an informal, I think he was,
Kick the tires.
yeah, well, I told him today that I would not be able to issue a permit, because that's what he was looking for, is to get a permit to get going. I think what he wants to do is start 2 units, which would be allowed under the ordinance without site plan review, and then at a later time, go to the 4, add the other 2 units, which would require the site plan review. So I think the intent would be to get a permit to start the project with 2 units.
And keeping us in the loop that he's,
Yeah, and then, but he would like to meet with the board sooner than later to talk about what he's doing. And
Identify any problems.
right,
yeah. He's got, Real Hazen Construction's going to be doing all the work, so it's Jonah Richards,
Oh, nice.
yeah, is gonna be doing,
He's the guy who's doing Fairly.
Yep, Scott just joined at Real Hazen,
Scott,
from Oaks. He was there.
Oaks Brothers.
Yeah, he was my procurement guy, and he just took the job with Real Hazen. He's now their project manager. It's great. He's top notch. He's a great guy.
The Scott who lives in Orford?
Yeah. He lives in, oh no, maybe it's Orford.
So, yeah, he's Tom Owens's kind of son-in-law?
I don't know.
yeah, because Real Hazen just moved also, they were
Yeah.
in Fairleigh, they moved to a larger building in Orford.
Mhm.
Oh,
yeah.
that's interesting. Well, I think we've had a productive meeting.
I think this went well.
Do we have assignments
Scott
for
Gilman.
individual?
Gilman.
Uh-huh, yeah. I think it's the same Scott I'm talking about,
Yeah.
but yeah. Hi, Scott.
I
Fun,
I
fun.
don't know that, well,
So nothing, I mean, do we,
I have one
do,
item for the committee.
Yeah, that's good. New business.
Okay.
so getting back to assignments,
David has an assignment,
I have several assignments.
yeah,
okay, but we don't.
okay. So we have some new business, a quick thing?
Yeah, I spoke to Tim. Tim was greatly appreciative of the idea to get together with him, and he would be happy to do it. And so, I'd just like us to look at our calendars and give Dave a couple dates that would be okay. My question is, I have 2 questions, just because. One is, would the committee want to do it in lieu of a meeting? Is that something that you guys do? And do you guys all understand is there an arrangement of how the bills are paid?
We usually take the retired board member and their significant other out, and we just get a
Divide their
bill
bill.
and divide it all up equally, and I'll bring a credit card or a check, and,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, so everybody, that's all clear to everybody.
Yeah.
And if there are people that can't be there, are they still going to participate in divide, as one of the dividees?
No, this is
Okay.
just an
Oh,
informal
whoever's
dinner.
there, okay.
So he's there.
So, are there dates in the next 3 weeks that people can or cannot do?
I would like to not take up our board meeting
Right.
time to do this, because I think we have a lot to do when we get distracted
Do you
really
mean
easily.
set the date, or do you mean have the dinner?
Have the
Have the
dinner
dinner.
on
Yeah.
a,
On
on a
another
second or
night.
fourth Thursday.
Yeah.
I would prefer not to
Great.
do that.
So then
Um,
let's, then
so-
Fridays?
Friday nights are good.
Yep, yeah, I've got, yeah, I have so much, yeah, Friday nights are fine.
Okay,
I'm out
can-
of town the 20th through the 24th, the week of the 19th, so not that I'm essential to this at all, but
Okay, could I suggest the 30th of April as a date?
I won't be able to.
I can't do that either.
Okay, can I suggest,
wait, isn't the 30th of April a Thursday?
you're right, sorry, May 1st, thank you, May 1st,
I wouldn't be able to make that.
okay?
No,
May 8th,
Yeah.
no,
That's,
May eighth is a what?
is a
Friday.
Friday.
I don't think so.
You don't think you can do it?
Dates every
No.
Friday.
No, it's just those 2 weekends,
Okay, could I suggest May 15th?
I can't come for that one, because my daughter's getting married and.
Well, you know, that's something you can't miss. Can I suggest the 22nd of May?
I'm not gonna be back.
Can I suggest the 29th?
That works for me.
Yep,
I will be out, but again, you guys should go forward.
Oh, yeah, you guys should move though.
yeah, we should do it before summer.
All right, I will see if May 29th,
What about June fifth? Does that get better?
I think Tim is planning a party in June. Gotta make sure it's not.
well, yeah, I'll call him and, hey, you can't make it, that's okay, we're gonna go and have dinner for you.
We'll have a toast for Tim.
So right now, May 29th is a date,
And potentially the 5th of June,
and potentially the 5th if Tim is not having his party.
that work
Uh,
for you?
Yeah,
If he's
I think so.
Yeah.
He's fine.
Okay, Dave?
I may have trouble on both those days. I'm trying to arrange some vacation time around there and so.
No.
But I would have you guys go,
You know you're invited.
Yep.
And you can choose to arrange your vacation around those or not, so, yeah.
us,
Or not?
trying to see if I can get lodging and accommodations and,
Yep.
Okay, so we have 2 dates that I'm gonna offer
Yeah.
to Tim,
Yeah.
the 29th and the 5th.
Yep.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, sure. And we'd, 5:30 dinner?
That's good.
Yep.
Sure.
Where are we gonna go?
I'm gonna check with Ari on this, because that was what was recommended to me.
Because of the private room,
Right.
so if we get silly.
We get too silly.
Silly not talking about town business. We have a motion to adjourn. Is that the end of our new business?
Thank you for arranging that
Yeah.
and taking that on and executing.
Well, my pleasure. So the 29th, or,
Yeah. I second that, or whatever, I'll propose it, how about
Okay,
that?
good. We're adjourned. So, did you go home?